Hello to all my new parents in year 4. So what I'm going to do on here is show you the slides that I would have showed you if you were in class. Obviously that can't happen this year for our normal parent talk, so I'm just going to go through this instead. So we are doing the same as we did last year, as we're covering the 3 questions. So we've got, does the world look after us, or do we look after it? And we're going to be looking at rainforests for that. What do you see if you stop and look? Will be our spring term, and we'll be looking at the Romans. And why do people do extraordinary things? Will probably be the Olympics. So hopefully it will happen next year, and we'll be looking at the Olympics for that. So the whole school looks at these 3 questions, all with a slightly different topic. So the adults that the children will see this year, obviously myself, Mrs. Smith. We will have 3 learning assistants in the class. We've got Mrs. Livermore, Mrs. Cross and Miss Wharton. When I'm not in the class, the children will also be taught by Mrs. Curtis, Mrs. Vi or Mrs. Bremner and Mrs. Hopkins. So if you have the same every year, any concerns or problem, the best person to come to see is myself. After school is the best time, although I can appreciate at the moment it will be slightly tricky because we won't be able to come up to the door and have conversations due to social distancing, so it might be easier to use the class email or arrange an appointment, and we'll have to see how that looks this year. Any clubs, absences, go to the office or the apps that we have, and we'll look at those in a moment. Any concerns about special needs, go to Mrs. Ragg. Any serious recurring issues that you've not been able to deal with myself with, you can go to Mrs. Hopkins or Mr. Wharton, and any trips go to the office as well, although there won't be any trips for the autumn term, again due to COVID. So the school day and week, hopefully everyone's now got their head around what to do in the mornings and at pick-up time now. As things move on, we might have to have some changes, so just keep your eye out for messages coming from the school if any changes do happen with pick-up and drop-off times. But everyone seems to be okay with that at the moment. Obviously speaking to me at the end of the day, coming up to the door, as I've already said, isn't appropriate at the moment, so please use the class email, which I'll put on at the end of this slide. So our break time's slightly different time. Ours are now 5 minutes different, so it doesn't affect the children too much. Bringing in their own water bottle is quite important at the moment, so obviously can't share, so please just make sure that they've got their name on their water bottle and they've got that in class for them to access. Communication, the best thing to do now is use either the class email, and our communication to you will mostly be via the Jota app. If you haven't got it, please download the Jota app. We always put things on there. Our PE days now are going to be Tuesdays and Fridays moving forwards. Please make sure the children have got their kit in. Most of them already do, and we have started PE lessons now. If they have earrings in, they will not be able to join in. They will need to be removed by themselves for a PE lesson. Lots of their PE is going to be outside, so an outdoor kit is appropriate at the moment. Our kit can be bought from Penn Sports. I would advise as well, if you can, to add on the extras to have your child's initials printed on the top and the bottoms, so we know whose tracksuit is who, to prevent any children having lost. Then we have the 3 rights. Hopefully you'll be very familiar with what the 3 rights are. The right to respect, the right to learn, and the right to safety. Anyone that comes into the school is always encouraged to use them as well. It is our behaviour policy, so if the children break one of the 3 rights, they get a side of the triangle, and that's 1 minute spent with the teacher or an adult in the school during break time or lunchtime, and it'll be a time for reflection on what happened, why they broke that right, and then moving forward from there. 2 sides, if they break 2 different rights or the same right twice. they'll be missing a part or all of the break time or lunchtime. They also have to write a letter explaining how they broke their rights and an apology to whoever it concerns. 3 sides of the triangle is visiting the head teacher or the deputy head teacher, and they're removed from the learning, and they will spend the rest of the morning or afternoon there. I would normally speak to you if a child broke 2 sides of the triangle, certainly if they broke 3 sides of the triangle. If they got 1 side, that wouldn't often mean a conversation with yourself. So if they come out of 1 side, it probably is probably something small and doesn't need a conversation with yourself unless it caused some form of upset. So reading is a huge part of school. It's been a big initiative for the last couple of years. So we are starting with Anne finds Bill's new frock. It's going to be our class book from autumn. We share the book together. We will look at the vocabulary, and we normally spend about a week on each chapter before we move on to the next to make sure the children understand it. Home reading, obviously the children have accelerated reader to use, and they're filling in their reading record as well. Filling in reading record, now the children are a little bit more independent with their reading as they're getting older. I don't expect parents to be reading with the children every night. Obviously it is nice to still hear the children read, but we also have tasks for them to complete rather than just writing in read well tonight. That's not really what we want anymore, so I will put some tasks up on the class page to show you the kind of thing the children can do when they're reading. So they're reading more actively, so it might be write down 3 questions that you have from the text that you read today. It might be write a summary of the text that you've read today. Write down some vocabulary you didn't understand and then find out what they mean. So it's a little bit more involved, not just writing I read 3 pages, it was good. And we want a little bit more from the children now, and I'll look at accelerated reader as we move on. So assessment for this term, no different to any other term. We will do the spelling ages, the reading ages, reading comprehension, SPAG, which is spelling, punctuation and grammar, arithmetic and reasoning assessment. I tend to do weekly arithmetic tests, and they will come home with them. Every now and again I will keep one to see their progress, but most of the time they'll come home with their arithmetic test so you can see what they need to work on. We do big rights and hot rights, and this year, at the end of the year, we will have a times table assessment. This is a statutory assessment for the children to complete, and we will probably have a workshop all about the times table assessment. Okay, so homework this year. Really, homework's not going to be much different from previous years. So what we do, particularly in maths, is we do pre-teaching homework. So we give the children what we're about to learn in class, and that's not going to be any different. So, for example, if we're about to do rounding in our maths lesson, the week before the homework will be rounding, and they're going to look at the year 3 rounding work, make sure that they understand what they're meant to do in the previous year. So when they come into class the following week to do rounding in year 4, they will then be confident coming into that lesson because they've just had a refresher on what they did last year, or cover anything they might have missed last year as well. Lots of learning was missed, even though we still obviously were putting on work every day. They were not doing anywhere near as much as they would be doing if they were in class still. So going through the page, English, what they're going to be doing. Same as normal, at least 3 pages read every night. Please try and hear the children read still. We've got lots of children that still very much need adult support. Once they're finished reading, rather than putting a comment in, read well today, we're going to make it a little bit more purposeful. So when the children finish reading in class, we put an activity on the board for them to complete in their reading record. So they can do the same at home. I'm going to put those activities on the class page, and I will show you them when we look at the class page in a moment. We're still using accelerated reader, so once they've finished a book, they can take their quiz at home or at school. Either's fine. And then the children, as they complete a quiz, and if they get that quiz correct, then they start accumulating a word count, which is really great, and I've always seen really positive results from this. Spellings are different this year. We're now using a website called Spelling Frame, and I will show you the website, how to log on and how to access your child's spellings. So maths we're using White Rose Maths, which is what the children were starting to use towards the end of the lockdown period at home. So that's no different to before. Please use the videos. The children that did the homework last week that watched the videos found it much easier to complete than the children that didn't watch the videos. Times tables, as I said, we've got statutory tests at the end of the year for year 4. So we'll be doing a weekly times tables challenge with bronze, silver and gold awards to earn. Rockstar times tables, we'll be looking at Super Movers, which is our videos on the BBC website. And you will have already seen, hopefully, their times tables record books coming home, a little bit like a reading record. They are to complete 1 column each night at home. So let's have a look at the class page. So this is the year 4 class page. So first of all, it just shows you what catch-up homework is. And then it's English homework every day. Read and complete an activity in the reading log, and I'll go down and show you that in a moment. Here's the link to the Spelling Frame website, which we'll come back to. So it's log on. Once they've logged on, they click on Go to Test from their dashboard, which is what they're taken to. It's like their home screen. So they click on Go to Test. It won't take them to a test. It will just take them to their spelling rule that's appropriate for them. This week they will click on Week 2, and then they can play the games and the spelling tile games for that spelling rule, and then we do the test in school. If they want to do some of the tests at home, that's not a problem. So maths every day, complete a column in your times tables book. Don't move them on to the next times tables. We do that in school. I've seen a couple of parents put 2s on the first week, 3s on the next week. It doesn't work like that. Once the children are confident with each times table, we will move them on to the next one. So we will write it at the front when they've completed it. They need 3 ticks to move on to the next times tables. So here's their maths homework. The video link is here, so please use the link for them to watch that to see what they're doing. Then the answers are below. And then these are the reading activities. So we call reading in class squirt time. So if we go down, there's some different activities which they can then do in their reading record, and they just write this in the comments box. Drawing a picture might not be too appropriate, but the rest of them should be fine for them to do. And now we're going to have a little look at Spelling Frame. So if we go back up, click on the link, and this is the home page. The first thing the children need to do is click log on, log in. They will need to type this in. It's saved on mine. They will need to type it in. This part, the username, is the same for all the children. So it's WOOSC. That's the same for all of them. This part here is individual to them. So it's the first 3 letters of their first name and then the first 3 letters of their surname. And then the password, again, is unique to them. It's a 3-letter word and then a 2-digit number. Their login details can be found inside the cover of their reading record. All the children have stuck it there. I'm now going to log into my test account so you can see what it looks like when a child logs in. This is a child's dashboard. This is what it looks like when they log in. So we are now week 2. We've done week 1. So week 2 is here. So once they log in, they come down to active tests. As I said, tests are not for their homework, but this is how they access their spelling rule for them. So they're going to come down to week 2. This is the day that we're going to be taking our test. And they click go to test. And now all it does, it takes them to a page where they've got games, spelling tiles as well, which shows them all the words that they're going to be doing. And then they can ignore this. They can do a practice test if they want to, that's fine. And all of these games are linked to the word that's been set for them for this week. Okay, so that's already done for them. They haven't got to select a particular spelling rule. They can click on any of the games they want to down here, and they can click on spelling tiles. I'll show you spelling tiles very quickly. They can click view words. It shows them all the words and it's broken down, segmented in how we use phonics. They can hear the word, hear it in a segment, hear it in a sentence as well. And then they can select the games they want to play. They can select one or more than one, click begin, and then it will teach them how to spell the words. so they can play the games as well, because they're quite fun. The children like to do that, and the more games they play, the more points they get on their leaderboard. So that's a spelling frame. The children are really enjoying it so far, so I hope they really enjoy using this for their homework as well. So they can come on here daily if they want to. Make sure they know the words that they've got by clicking on spelling tiles and viewing their words. And it's unique to each child as well. So we haven't got one whole class set of spellings, it's individual for your child's needs, which is fantastic. And lastly, I've talked a lot about emailing me. This is the Class 4 email. I would try to say I'm checking it every day, but I can't always guarantee that. But if you use that email, I will get back to you as soon as I can. Obviously, I can't reply to emails in the middle of the day, but when I can, I'll be checking those and getting back to you. If it is urgent, then I would advise you to ring the office. But that's our email, so exactly the same as last sheet you had, but you're just changing the 3 to a 4. I'll look forward to our year together in year 4.